Test subject number 24. The subject lasted for 2 minutes and 45 seconds after the administration of Valkyrie. Time of death, 4:22 a.m. I should be the only one at home. Who's talking? Hanzio opened his eyes, only to be blinded by light. The familiar hatch of his VR capsule was no longer there. Instead, he was facing a white ceiling. The walls that surrounded him were also white and reminiscent of cold, hard metal. They felt like something straight out of science fiction. The room resembled an intensive care unit, and Hanzio lay atop a cold metal table. The last thing he could remember was accepting a leveling assignment. He was in the midst of creating a new character in Galaxy when he seemingly started to smell burnt eggs. Quickly, let Ms. Hila know. The test subject has come back to life. Call the guards. As the researchers started a commotion, Hanzio realized that he could understand them, even though they were speaking in a language he had never heard before. Test subject, back to life, and guards, these terms unnerved him. Soon, he could hear the sound of rushing footsteps coming from outside. Should I make a run for it or just lie still? Hanzio decided on the former in a split second. He was not the kind of person to just lie around waiting. He abruptly sprang up, ripping the wires off him, and made a clumsy beeline for the door. He pushed his way out into a white corridor, only to be greeted by a dozen or so guards suited in black and armed with electric batons advancing upon him from both sides. Hanzio gasped at the sight of the crest on their uniforms. It depicted half a plant, the germinal organization from planet Aquamarine back in version 1. Suddenly, a guard swung his electric baton at Hanzio and Hanzio unconsciously raised a hand to block it. The ensuing current caused his whole body to spasm in pain. Is the pain calibration at 100%? Galaxy's pain calibration was restricted to a maximum of 40% because any higher setting could potentially cause nerve damage to players. The guards yanked him up and took him to a small room where they locked him up alone in pitch-black darkness. Hanzio grimaced in pain as he massaged his wrist. His head continued to throb as more information poured in. I've transmigrated into Galaxy. His eyes widened with amazement. Galaxy was a fully immersive virtual reality game that ran servers worldwide and boasted a peak concurrent player count of almost 60 million. The game was set in a vast universe with a world map and landscapes that were procedurally generated using the latest generation of quantum computers. The scale of its world was massive, and it was said to be able to run smoothly even with 1 billion concurrent players. Although Hanzio did indeed make a living out of playing the game, the term professional gamer didn't fit him well. He was, instead, one of the despised power levelers and preferred to work solo. Hanzio had been playing the game since its very inception, and through the numerous patches, he had made a name for himself. In the last annual Top 100 rankings, he placed 47th. He definitely had what it took to try his hand at going pro, but what he enjoyed most about the game was the leveling experience. The germinal organization originates from one of the beginner planets. New characters were sent to back in version 1 of Galaxy. Planet Aquamarine, mumbled Hanzio. Before transmigrating, Galaxy had already been operating for over a decade. Version 1.0 was ancient history. Have I time traveled too? Hanzio's expression darkened. While Hanzio enjoyed the game, now that he had transmigrated over, get me out. While the germinal organization was small fry compared to the interstellar powers introduced in later updates, to the currently powerless Hanzio, it was an entirely different story. Apart from some general knowledge, all that remained were fragmented memories of captivity and experimentation. It seemed to be roughly 20 years old and bore a slight semblance to his original self. Suddenly, a glowing line of blue text appeared before his eyes. You have been injected with Valkyrie. +1 endurance. You have learnt a new ability, concentration. You have learnt a new ability, low-level willpower. Virtual interface. Hanzio jumped for joy. Name, Hanzio. Race, human, carbon-based. Model, NPC. Level 1. Thank God I still have the interface. Hanzio was ecstatic but quickly discovered that there were several irregularities. NPC, not a player. Suddenly, the door opened and several people walked in. As he could only make out their silhouettes due to the light streaming in from outside, Hanzio could not see their faces clearly. However, he could make out from their outlines that one of them was a woman with a fiery figure. When Hanzio's eyes had finally adjusted to the light, he was stunned by the sight of the woman. Boasting a head full of luscious, burgundy hair that concealed part of her face, the woman wore a tight-fitting, jet-black bodysuit from which her curvaceous figure threatened to burst out at any time. Her features were telling of her Western descent, but they were also composed of a certain softness that was characteristic of Eastern women. Perhaps it was her mixed heritage that blessed her with such beauty and charm. I want to see the report ASAP. Two stone-faced guards walked forward to yank him away. Their massive bodies and the fact that they were carrying guns dispelled any notion that Han Zio had of resisting. The blood test results were compiled quickly. Hila went over the data she had received from Lin Zion with knitted brows. No abnormalities detected. Valkyrie mainly affects the brain. We will need to open the head up for assessment. Open the head up, snapped Han Zio inwardly. Open the head up. Hila waved a hand in dismissal of the idea. He is the only subject to have ever survived the experiment. We'll leave that option out for now. Han Zio's eyes lit up as he realized that his current status was somewhat advantageous for him. Lin Zion was not pleased by Hila's decision, but he made no fuss about it. Proceed with the brainwashing, ordered Hila suddenly. Brainwashing. Han Zio's heart sank. Brainwashing was a common method of subordination, and while in the game, a brainwashed character would simply become an ally of the faction. It was completely different now. Han Zio was yanked away once again and brought to another room. Han Zio noticed that there was a bookshelf in this room. Han Zio disregarded the two guards behind him as he stood up to walk towards the shelf. His actions startled everyone, and instantly the two guards were pointing guns at him. However, Han Zio steeled his nerves and continued to approach the bookshelf. "You'd better not fire," he prayed. "I'm a valuable test subject. Hold your fire. Let's see what he's up to," shouted Lin Zion all of a sudden. The two guards hesitantly lowered their guns. Han Zio heaved a sigh of relief. He had been banking everything on his status as the first successful subject. This was the book that had caught Han Zio's eye. He picked it out from the shelf and started flipping through. Although the long paragraphs of texts and complex diagrams were hard for Han Zio to comprehend, he patiently read on. After 20 seconds or so, the interface lit up. "You have completed one session of self-learning and basic machinery knowledge." As I expected, Han Zio rejoiced. Although he wasn't able to understand the book's contents on his own, the system's automated mastery system had allowed him to directly absorb the knowledge. Lin Zion's curiosity was piqued. The test subject seemed to be learning. He allowed Han Zio to continue in order to observe him more. The entire room was now silent, except for the rustling of paper. "Is the brainwashing apparatus ready?" she asked. "Preparations are complete. Damn it, I have to be faster," thought Han Zio. Suddenly, a notification accompanied with a sound popped up on the interface. Progress rate 90%. You have learned basic knowledge of machinery, unlocking the mechanic talent tree. Proceed with brainwashing now, ordered Hila suddenly. Fortunately for Han Zio, it had been enough. He had accumulated a total of 200 experience points. Use all experience to level up class. Ding, has leveled up. Han Zio breathed a sigh of relief. That was close. Han Zio was strapped to a metal seat with his eyes forcefully pried open by extensions. Before him was a black screen with speakers on either side. He was unable to move at all. "How long is the procedure?" 12 hours. "Keep watch here," ordered Hila before she left with some grunts. Lin Zion activated the procedure, and the screen lit up. It began to display all kinds of geometric shapes and patterns that morphed continuously. The vivid, rapidly changing colors and harshly alternating music caused Han Zio much discomfort. Han Zio added 2 of his 4 unassigned points into intelligence. "You are being brainwashed. Your INT 7. Your resistance 3. Brainwash failed." Han Zio's discomfort immediately eased. At the end of the 12 hours, Han Zio's entire body was aching, and his eyes were completely dried out. Hila returned on schedule. The boss had assigned her the task of brainwashing Han Zio, so she had to ensure that everything went smoothly. She undid Han Zio's shackles, revealing bruises on his limbs. Although Han Zio was still hurting, he continued to look at the screen blankly in order to act the part. Hila suddenly bent forward, and her face came to within 2 inches of his. Her moist breath fell upon his lips, but Han Zio was far too concerned with his predicament to be distracted. Perfume filled up his nostrils, tickling him, and it took great effort on his part to resist the urge to sneeze. "Who are you?" asked Hila in a soft, hypnotic voice. Han Zio decided to twitch his face instead of replying. Although Han Zio had never been a good actor, it wasn't too hard to act like an idiot. Suddenly, Hila began to whisper into his ear. As her hair tickled Han Zio's throat, 2 snowy mountains came into his view through the window of her collar. "From today onward, your name is Zero. The Germinal organization is your home, your country, and your everything. You will forever be loyal to the organization and will forever strive to help the organization achieve its goals. You will neither hide anything from nor betray the organization. You will carry out your orders faithfully, and you will sacrifice yourself for the greater good when the time comes." Lin Zion broke out in manic laughter. "Your life belongs to the organization. You will do whatever you are ordered to do, he added. Who are you? Re-questioned Hila. This time, Hanzio knew that he had to reply. However, he did not reply immediately. Hila shot a frown towards Lin Waizian. I followed the procedure. It's not my fault. Suddenly, Hanzio began to speak. Zero. Lin Waizian's eyes lit up. Valkyrie strengthened Zero's learning ability. However, as a side effect, it impaired his speech. Hila thought back to Zero's earlier behavior. He had indeed responded slowly to his surroundings. Seems like the experiment was not perfect after all. Take him to recover, I will report to the boss. I'm safe now. Hanzio could finally relax. He had come up with the idea of acting slow to lower their guard during the procedure. Is the brainwashing complete? The man's voice was hoarse. I oversaw the procedure. There was no issue. What arrangements do you have for Zero? The Valkyrie experiment's aim is to train soldiers, so train him. How is my sister doing? Don't forget the deal, the man warned. I gave you permission to visit her once every 2 months. Don't cross the line. Hila clenched her fists. The interior of the underground Valkyrie lab was almost entirely white. Guards constantly patrolled the grounds. After a night's rest, Hanzio was brought to an isolated training field where Hila awaited. While he was not too sure of what arrangements the organization had for him, he was certain that they would value his learning ability, meaning he would definitely get the chance to level up his mechanic abilities. Hila tossed a suit to him. Put it on. Hanzio quickly wore it. As soon as he put the suit on, Hila attacked, launching a vicious kick at chest level. Bang! Too fast. Hanzio was unable to react, and the kick cracked his ribs through armor. He staggered back over a dozen paces and clutched onto his chest, coughing. As expected of a superhuman, although she was obviously not going all out, she was still several times faster than an ordinary person. 30 seconds of rest, she stated blandly. Combat training was tough, but straightforward. No words were exchanged between the pair. They continued like this for 2 hours, by the end of which Hanzio was completely exhausted and covered in bruises. He also now suspected that Hila had masochistic tendencies. Are all Ice Queen types like this? He wondered. A stout, burly man arrived to yank Hanzio to the target practice field. I am your shooting trainer, and one of the vice managers of this base. Balter introduced the scary-looking man with a hideous knife scar across his forehead. He pushed a 73 Wasp into Hanzio's hands and said, "There's 10 bullets, hit the bullseye with all of them." Hanzio frowned. How could a beginner who had never touched a gun in real life before hit the bullseye? Moreover, the target was a moving dummy 30 meters away. I'm no Olympic champion. Hanzio shrugged his shoulders and raised the gun with his aching arms. Bang, bang, bang. After 10 shots, Hanzio took a look at the scoreboard. As expected, he had failed. Suddenly, he felt a searing pain in his back. It was only with great restraint that he did not scream out. He turned around, only to see a frenzied Balter licking blood off a black tactical knife. Continue. 1 miss, 1 cut. Let's see how much blood you will lose today. Hanzio moved a hand across his back, and it returned bloody. Bastard. He cursed inwardly. One of the glass panels in the room was a one-way mirror. Hila and Lin Waizian were observing from the other side. Balter is being too careless with my precious test subject. Might as well let me dissect him now, bemoaned Lin Waizian. Hila cast a plain look at Lin Waizian and replied, "The organization will not approve of your request." Lin Waizian laughed coldly in response. "I will have my way sooner or later. I created him. He is mine." Hila remained silent. Hanzio was cut again and again. The cuts themselves might not have been deep, but there were so many of them that his clothes were completely drenched in blood. Balter watched the weakened Hanzio with a grin. He reveled in the smell of fresh blood. After the blood-boiling training session, Hanzio was brought to dip in a special restorative bath for 2 hours. Although it healed his wounds, the pain from the cuts still lingered. There was an unused machinery tuning room in the base, and as Hanzio had demonstrated some talent with machines, he was arranged to reside there. In the room were materials, tools, and a vehicle bench that he was given free rein to use. There were also shelves of books lined against the wall. Although there was a surveillance camera in a corner of the room, Hanzio paid no heed to it. He had expected to be monitored 24/7. Time went by quickly. Hanzio continued to assemble and enhance machines to gain experience, and as he improved, his perfection rate in assembly consistently hit over 90%. This gave him a lot of bonus experience. There was an armory in the base that was essentially a gold mine of machines, providing Hanzio with all the resources he needed to gain experience through assembly. Hanzio kept a low profile and continued to remain quiet and docile. Gradually, the organization also stopped monitoring him so closely. Although the organization had high hopes for him, he knew that standing out would only be disadvantageous, so he chose to accumulate experience instead of leveling up when he could. Very soon, the research team lost interest in him. The degree of skill that he displayed in assembly was easily attainable by trained logistics personnel, and he simply did not fulfill their expectations. They continued observing him for another month before writing him off as a failure. Instead of wasting more time on him, they chose to devote their efforts elsewhere and ceased the 24/7 surveillance. This allowed Hanzio to relax a little, as the organization's attention gradually shifted away from him. Eventually, only Lin Zion and Balter continued to keep tabs on him. Although Lin Zion's continued requests to dissect Hanzio for research were still being rejected, Hanzio knew that it was only a matter of time before they would be approved. There was not much time left for him. As for Balter, Hanzio had become the sole target of his affection. As recovery pills were readily available, and the researchers believed that torture could stimulate growth, Balter was allowed to indulge in his sadistic ways. Hanzio gradually grew numb to the pain. With nothing much to do and no one to converse to, Hanzio channeled his focus and thoughts into studying machinery. He found solace in the sense of accomplishment that crafting brought him. One day, a number of armored guards came to the tuning room to move a large portion of Hanzio's resources away. As Hanzio watched them quietly, a person walked up to him. "You have let the organization down. From today onward, your resources will be cut by 80%. The person who spoke to Hanzio was test subject No. 1. I heard that you are my predecessor. With so many resources, is all you can make garbage like this? You are a failure, and I have been chosen to replace you." Hanzio remained silent. The organization prioritized results. Since Hanzio was not giving them results, he was being stripped of his privileges. They planned to devote their resources to grooming the more promising No. 1. As the research lab did not have any maintenance personnel for machinery, Hanzio still got to keep the tuning room for himself. He was now assigned to perform maintenance and repairs. Sad rats. A few guards who saw the pair conversed among themselves. Brainwashed lab rats, fated to be sacrificed. I'd rather die than end up like that. SHH, they can hear us. It doesn't matter, does it? They've already been brainwashed anyway. To them, test subjects were less than animals. Hanzio walked away silently. Half a year passed. Give Lin Zion the green light. He has asked repeatedly. He may dissect 0, ordered the boss over the line. Hila frowned. You rejected him repeatedly. The organization has devoted so much resources to him already. We must gain something in return, said the boss plainly. The only worth that trash has is in being recycled. Hanzio endured the pain of the blow to grab Hila by her collar. With a mighty twist, he threw Hila over his shoulder. However, it was ineffective. Hila effortlessly nullified the shoulder throw by performing a flip. Hanzio paused to rub his chest. Is that all that you are capable of? Hila was visibly upset. Hanzio remained silent. He had expected the organization to have given up on him with what little progress he had shown. But for the past 6 months, Hila had dutifully trained with him every single day. For some reason, though, she was going especially hard on him today. Although Hila was the commander of this base, she did not have much work to do. Training Hanzio was actually one of the few things that she had to look forward to. When she had learnt of the boss's intention to hand him to Lin Zion, it had upset her. Although they had never actually conversed before, it was 6 months of accompaniment regardless. A person could even develop feelings for an object if he or she spent that much time with it. Perhaps, due to having grown used to seeing Hanzio every day, Hila was a bit reluctant to hand him over. How many times has it been? She wondered. All those people, all those faces. The organization's cruel methods had not only caused her to lose many of her friends, she had also lost her sister. The reason she had pushed Hanzio harder today was to try and stimulate him. She had hoped to be able to draw out any latent talent in him. However, it had clearly been too much to ask for. The boss has approved of Lin Zion's request to dissect you. She sighed. Hanzio's eyes flashed. Finally, although Hanzio had been anticipating this from the moment he decided to lie low, he did not regret doing so. His background made it impossible for him to rise up through the ranks, which meant that he would only be able to continue on as a henchman. Suddenly, Hanzio noticed a photograph on the ground. It seemed to have fallen out of Hila's pocket during their fight. 2 girls stood side by side in the center. One of them was Hila, who was smiling radiantly. The other girl had snow-white hair and seemed to resemble Hila somewhat. She looked both clever and gentle. Hila's face changed upon realizing that she had dropped the photo. She immediately bent down to snatch for it. When she saw that it was undamaged, she let out a sigh of relief. The interface suddenly lit up with a message. You have initiated a D-class quest. Accept, decline. Hanzao's eyes lit up. My first mission in 6 months. Accept. Quest synopsis. The dark and blood-stained advent of the Germinal organization has always been a great mystery to the 6 nations of planet Aquamarine. Hela has a secret past that no one knows about. Where do her loyalties truly lie? You now hold one of the clues to this mystery. Will you seek to uncover the truth? The quest had obviously been initiated by the photo. Hanzao knew who the white-haired girl was. She was none other than Hela's younger sister, Aurora. While the sisters both possessed supernatural powers, their powers were of 2 extremes. Aurora's blood possessed mysterious healing properties that could extend life or even bring back the dead. She had been brainwashed and was now being controlled by the Germinal. Not only were they taking advantage of her powers, they were also using her as leverage to make Hela do their bidding. Hela only cared for one person, and that was Aurora. The war between the 6 countries and the Germinal organization reached a climax at the conclusion of version 1.0. As a last resort, the Germinal organization used Aurora's flesh and blood to create an endless supply of miracle drugs that won them the war. Hela, who had been at the front lines at the time, only learnt of what had happened a few months later. Losing her sister tore her apart, and the Germinal organization took advantage of her moment of weakness to capture and imprison her. After her escape, she became cold-blooded and ruthless, going so far as to sacrifice countless of lives in order to awaken her latent powers. She turned to the dark side and stopped at nothing to gain power, eventually coming to be known as the Goddess of Death, whose very name spread fear throughout the Shattered Belt. Although the present Hela was cold, compared to the future Goddess of Death who wielded the power to wipe out entire civilizations, she was a billion times nicer. If he had the chance, Hanzao would definitely do his best to alter her tragic fate, not out of pity, but to prevent her from destroying his fleet of spaceships. However, he was still far too weak to do anything. Escaping the base was his primary goal. Hanzao knew from Hela's routine the past 6 months that she would leave the lab in 2 days. That would be the perfect chance. Hanzao returned to the tuning room and summoned the interface. He currently possessed 2 subclasses and 1 main class, Civilian, Agent, and Mechanic. Of the 5 main classes, mechanics were weaker in the early stages of the game. In the later stages of the game, a high-level mechanic was akin to an entire galactic fleet. Mechanics were well known for having many skills. Each blueprint itself could be seen as a skill, and since there were thousands of blueprints of machines, mechanics could be played in any number of ways. The slew of skills at their disposal made them adept at all sorts of tactics and warfare. Nevertheless, they had a glaring weakness. They needed more experience than other classes to level up. 10,000 experience will be used. Yes, Hanzao's vision whirled momentarily as a new blueprint appeared before him. Success. Congratulations on discovering. Not this one. Hanzao clenched his fists. Continue. 40,000 experience will be used. Success. Congratulations on discovering. This is it. Hanzao slammed the table excitedly. Haha. Lightweight mechanical arm. This is what I was hoping for. Half a year of hard work almost went down the drain. I will show you what raising a tiger's cub means. The Valkyrie lab was hidden underneath an abandoned farm situated within an extremely large forest. The farm itself was enclosed by a tall electrical fence. A black Harrier helicopter descended on the abandoned farm. 6 fully equipped agents dressed in black emerged from the aircraft. I am the captain of Night Owl Squad 3, Silver Blade. I've come under orders to transport the Valkyrie squad, introduced the stony-faced captain. Stop wasting my time, replied an irritated Hela as she fixed her tousled hair. There are vehicles in the hangar. I'll take the helicopter. No. One, who had been chosen to lead the Valkyrie squad, stepped forward. Test subject number 1 greets officer. Follow us. Yes, sir. As Hela hopped on the helicopter, she frowned. Strange. It feels like I've forgotten something. Machinery tuning room. Hanzao was almost done with crafting the lightweight mecha arm. It had proven harder to craft than expected. In the game, blueprint crafting was guided. The player simply needed to input the materials and follow a few simplified steps. Now, however, Hanzao had to do everything manually. It wasn't necessarily a bad thing though, as it did give him the freedom to make small modifications. Hanzao got up and headed to basement 3. His target was the surveillance room. There were 2 guards stationed outside the surveillance room. No unauthorized personnel, warned the first guard. It's 0. Just shoo him away, laughed the second. The first guard nodded. He was about to push Hanzao away when, suddenly, Hanzao grabbed hold of his wrist and stabbed the second guard in the chin with a knife. The knife pierced all the way into the guard's brain. Hanzio then immediately maneuvered around the first guard to perform a chokehold on him. Crack. Hanzio had dispatched of both guards in an instant. Mr. Lin Waizian wants to see you. Hanzio's eyes flashed. Lin Waizian was one of the few people in the base who possessed a security pass that could access the main gate. He was saving Hanzio the trouble of looking for him. The organization has finally let me have you. If I dissect you, I will be able to find out the difference between you and the other test subjects. After extracting all the valuable information your body has to offer, I will preserve your corpse as a specimen. You will be fondly remembered as the first test subject. Hanzio remained silent in the dark. Suddenly, Lin Waizian heard a dull thud from behind. He turned around, only to discover that Hanzio was standing right behind him. Before he could react, Lin Waizian felt a pain in his chest. Looking down blankly, he saw that a knife was stabbed directly into his heart. His eyes widened with shock as he dropped the surgical knife he was holding. He could see the motionless guard lying on the floor behind Hanzio, as well as the coldness in Hanzio's eyes. Right, this room is under surveillance. Hanzio seemed to have read his mind. Give up. I've already cleaned the surveillance room. That tone. Is this really that dim-witted Zero? Lin Waizian shuddered as the color in his face drained quickly. Half a year. You've been faking it all along. Hanzio nodded. How is that possible? You've fooled everyone. Lin Waizian wondered aloud, incredulous. Nothing is impossible in this world. Hanzio twisted the knife viciously. Lin Waizian crumpled to the ground, wide-eyed in indignation and terror. I am your creator. Hanzio changed into the guard's uniform before leaving Lin Waizian's laboratory. It was likely that people knew he had been taken to Lin Waizian, so a disguise was necessary. The main gate to the base was a reinforced steel door almost 1 meter thick. Even if Hanzio used all the explosives in the armory, it would still not be enough to blast it open. The only way to escape would be through unlocking it, and only 3 people possessed the security pass to do so. One of them was none other than Lin Waizian, and, naturally, Hanzio had already acquired his pass. Currently, he was heading back to the tuning room to retrieve the mecha arm first. As the tuning room came into sight, Hanzio was suddenly pushed from the side. To his horror, the person who had pushed him was none other than Balter. Why am I so unlucky? He groaned inwardly. Which squad are you from? Questioned Balter. Why have I never seen you before? Hanzio lowered his head and pushed his cap down. I'm new here. I'm from Squad B. Why was I not informed of new guards? Hold on, your voice sounds familiar. Raise your head and show me your face. Hanzio noticed that Balter was slowly reaching for his handgun. 3 guards nearby had also sensed that something was amiss. What should I do now? If Hanzio were exposed now, Balter would definitely send guards to look for Lin Waizian. That would be disastrous. This is a problem. I didn't want to have to resort to Plan B, muttered Hanzio. What did you say? Suddenly, Hanzio raised his head to reveal his face to Balter. I've always wanted to tell you this. Go see a shrink, psycho. Zero. Hanzio took advantage of his confusion and thrust his knife into Balter's chest. Unfortunately, Balter dodged on reflex, and Hanzio's knife only grazed his chin. Fire. The 3 guards hastily reached out to draw their guns. Unfortunately, they were too close to Hanzio, and Hanzio managed to close in on them before they could fire. He sent a fist smashing into the nearest guard's face. The punch sent the guard flying backwards into his comrades. Hanzio gritted his teeth as he turned around to make a dash for the tuning room. Walter's face darkened as he felt his chin. As he gave chase, he shouted into the transmitter on his collar, "All agents, listen up. Come to the tuning room on the 2nd floor at once. Test subject 0 has gone rogue." All the guards who heard the news were stunned. 0? Gone rogue? Are you sure? Wasn't he brainwashed? Is this a drill? Balter was an elite agent with over 20 years of experience. No matter how terrifying Hanzio's learning capability was, he had essentially trained for only 6 months. To him, the outcome was already decided. As soon as Hanzio neared the tuning room, he jumped inside and locked the door. Balter burst out in maniacal laughter as he paused to reload his gun. Hiding in a room. You have sealed your fate. Suddenly, the door was blasted into smithereens by what appeared to be a gigantic mecha arm that appeared out of nowhere. It followed through to smash into Balter's chest. Balter was sent flying into the wall. 4 or 5 of his ribs were broken by the force of the impact. As he got up, He coughed a mouthful of blood and looked at the newly emerged Han Zio in disbelief. What the hell is that? Balter stared in shock at the gigantic mecha arm that was enshrouded by the black smoke it was pumping out. The mechanical arm had a power level of 38. Added onto Han Zio's own power level, the might of blow was already at the level of an E-grade superhuman. Impossible. How could I? Phew. Balter howled indignantly as he struggled to break free from the grip of the mecha arm. Suddenly, the world before him darkened as Han Zio wrapped the mecha arm around his head and slammed him into the wall. Splat. Balter was no more. Han Zio dragged the already unrecognizable Balter against the wall. Team A and Team B arrived at the gruesome scene on the second floor. Vice Commander Balter has been killed. What exactly happened here? Where's the enemy? Why is the surveillance room not responding? Inform Professor Lin Y. Zion immediately. Team C has discovered Professor Lin Y. Zion's body. Oh my god. All the guards gasped in fear. Was all of this really done by Zero alone? All the commanders were either out or dead, and they realized that there was no one left to give them orders. Wasn't he brainwashed already? Has he been planning this from the very start? The thought of it sent chills down their spines. Han Zio could have taken their lives anytime he wanted. Don't panic. There's only one enemy. Proceed with a sweep of the facility. Fire at will. Team A will head to the armory. Team B, check out the surveillance room. Bang. A loud crash came from above, and the entire facility started to tremble. What's going on? Asked the panicked Team A leader through his intercom. The sound of gunfire intermixed with panicked yelling could be heard from the other end. Team C has encountered the enemy in the lab. I repeat, Team C has encountered the enemy in the lab. Team C has suffered heavy losses. We have trapped the target inside the lab. The target has been shot. Please send reinforcements quickly. He then picked a submachine gun on the floor and casually sprayed it to create the illusion of a fierce battle. Roger that. Please hold on. Team B is on the way. The guard did not doubt him at all, as Han Zio's silent act was deeply ingrained in their minds. The idea that he could employ such tactics simply did not occur to them. Han Zio proceeded to tie his 3 remaining hand grenades together and hung them on the door of the laboratory. He then hid behind a desk and loaded 3 submachine guns before firing his handgun multiple times to create the illusion of a crossfire. Footsteps approached and the door was kicked open. Kaboom! As soon as the guards began to scream, Han Zio rushed forward under the cover of the smoke and stuck 2 SMGs out of the door to open fire onto either side. Although vision was limited, Han Zio could hear his shots landing, and when he had emptied his clip, the guards were no longer making any sound. Team A, listen up. Return to the main gate right now. He decided it would be better to gather all the remaining people to fortify the main gate. There, they could simply wait for reinforcements. This was the plan that appeared safest and surest to him. No matter what Zero's aim was, his fate would be sealed as long as he had nowhere to run. The Team A leader glanced at the present members. There were 31 of them. With 31 guns directed at the corridor, the second Zero appeared he would be torn to shreds. However, he suddenly realized that something was off. Hold on a second, shouldn't there only be 30 of us? Beep beep. The security panel flashed green as the gate suddenly opened. As the guards turned back to look, their jaws dropped. There was a man who was wearing the same uniform as them at the gate. The man began to whistle as he pushed his cap up with a finger to reveal his face. It was none other than Han Zio. Bye-bye. He waved before abruptly pulling the manual lever and rolling out as the gate clamped down. The guards continued staring at the gate in disbelief. The veins on Team A's leader's temples bulged. When did Zero blend in with us? On the other side, Han Zio rejoiced. I've finally escaped. Han Zio stretched as he basked in the sunlight. The sight of the clear sky seemed to evaporate all his worries. It was roughly 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and Han Zio could discern the silhouettes of several moons in the sky. Some of them were even close enough for their craters to be observed. Han Zio took a deep breath. The crisp air was reinvigorating. On the Black Harrier helicopter, Hila noticed her phone ringing. Who? She answered, irritated. Commander Hila, there's a situation. Zero has gone rogue. He's killed Vice Commander Balter, Professor Lin Y. Zion, and over 30 guards. He's also destroyed all the Valkyrie records in the base. The Team A leader was dispirited. They were definitely going to be punished for having been useless, that went without saying. However, he still had to swallow the bitter pill and contact the commander as they were all trapped and needed someone to deactivate the lockdown. Hila frowned. Are you kidding me? I personally conducted his brainwashing. How could he have survived the procedure? Has he been fooling even me? She wondered. Hila immediately contacted the boss to relay the news. Turn back right now and give chase, ordered the boss, enraged. But my sister, Hila began to argue. Shut up. You have no right to bargain with me. Hila glowered as she reluctantly ordered the pilot, return to base. The Night Owl squad had also received the order to return. Suddenly, Hanzio heard the sound of engines coming from behind. He instantly sought for shelter behind a tree before peeking out to see 3 sets of flickering headlights about 300 meters away. He was about to creep towards a safer location when suddenly, a gunshot pierced the night. Hanzio's danger sense tingled, and he threw himself onto the ground. Something grazed past his shoulder. He turned to see that the bullet had narrowly missed him to pierce a tree 10 meters away. The 3 vehicles stopped, and 6 men alighted. They were none other than Night Owl Squad 3. The person who had fired was Silver Blade. Those are night vision goggles. Hanzio cursed his luck. You have been grazed by an SWP sniper rifle. 18 damage taken. All 6 of them were elite agents, an advanced class. Although they were lower level than Hanzio, they still had high stats, and were much better equipped. Hanzio's face darkened. Oh boy. Bang. The sniper rifle was fired again. The bullet pierced through the tree he was hiding behind, narrowly missing him. Hanzio groaned. While the enemy had night vision, he could only attempt to make out their position from the muzzle flashes. The sniper rifle was too powerful. With his current health, it would probably take only 3 shots to kill him. Hanzio decided to put the 18 unassigned stat points at his disposal to use. He added 14 points into End for additional health and 4 into STR to bolster his STR advantage. Engaging in a shootout would only be disadvantageous, so even though close combat was risky, he had to take the chance. It was virtually impossible to run away since the enemy had night vision. The only way to make it out now was to kill them all. As soon as Hanzio showed himself, the 6 agents opened fire. With the mecha arm as his shield, Hanzio weaved through the trees to evade the rain of metal while returning fire with the SMG in his other hand. In 3 seconds, Hanzio came within range of his target. He threw the SMG at the agent's gun hand as a distraction before swinging the mighty mecha arm at him. The agent's HP plummeted and Hanzio finished him off by ripping into his throat with the mechanical arm. Before Hanzio could celebrate his first kill, he felt a sharp pain in his back. He hurriedly dropped to the ground and dragged the agent's body over him as a shield while he crawled towards a tree for cover. You have been shot by an SWP sniper rifle. 68 damage taken. Hanzio quickly searched through the agent's body and put on his Kevlar vest. It would do well to block 1 or 2 shots. More importantly, however, he found 3G fragment grenades, one of which he immediately tossed out. Kaboom! The agents had to stop shooting as they frantically ducked for cover. Shoot more, assholes! Yelled Hanzio furiously as he threw out a second grenade, causing the 5 agents to scramble back to the ground just as they were about to get up. After the blast, a third black object was flung out in the air, and the 5 agents subconsciously crouched down once more. However, when there was no explosion after 2 seconds had passed, they looked up to see that it was just a piece of rock. Meanwhile, Hanzio was already charging towards the next agent while firing his assault rifle wildly. They threw grenades. Kaboom! Is he dead? Stay cautious, replied Silver Blade as he and the other 2 agents slowly approached. When they reached the tree, they noticed that there was a burnt corpse on the ground. From what remained of its uniform, it appeared to have been Hanzio. Finally, the 2 agents lowered their guns and relaxed. No, shouted Silver Blade all of a sudden. Get down. Before the 2 agents could react, a gunshot was fired. However, the gunshot was not intended for either of them. Instead, it was aimed at the corpse, or more precisely, the 3 grenades that were planted on it. As they were at point-blank range, the 2 agents were instantly engulfed by the blast and bombarded with shrapnel. Only Silver Blade had been vigilant enough to escape his trap. Hanzio's limbs were shaking uncontrollably, and he couldn't even see properly due to the blood blurring his vision. Suddenly, a black figure darted towards him. You asked for it, howled an enraged Silver Blade as he thrust a knife forward. 1 day later, a large number of Germinal personnel arrived at the Valkyrie base to salvage any remaining surveillance footage and gather clues. The boss himself also came. The boss of the Germinal organization wore a black coat, black mask, black gloves. Well, he was essentially covered in black from head to toe, and looked like he had come right out of Detective Conan. Only 5 people in the entire organization had ever seen his face. The boss was in an extremely bad mood. Just a few days ago, he had dismissed Zero as a piece of trash, and this piece of trash had managed to escape while taking out so many of his men. 30 armed guards killed, all the research destroyed, and 1 elite squad wiped. On top of that, he killed Lin Y Zion and escaped. Before determining the exact factor behind the drug's effects, cease all experimentation. Round up all the test subjects once more for another round of brainwashing. I don't want another Zero to appear, ordered the boss. No. 1 second eyes widened in disbelief. He felt that his loyalty to the organization was being doubted. I wish to lead a team to pursue 0. He burst out. The boss looked at No. 1 as he contemplated. He did indeed have high expectations for the test subject squad. Can you do it? I will definitely succeed. Fine. Bring 0 back, dead or alive. 7 days later, somewhere in a radiant, glowing forest, a frail-looking man was still trying to find his way out of the seemingly endless woods. Hanzio needed food and water desperately. His backpack was bulging but only with equipment. 7 days ago, he had defeated Silver Blade with relative ease by sacrificing the mecha arm. Losing it was not that big of a deal though, as Hanzio still had the blueprints and could always craft another. Although the forest was not an ideal place for recovery, Hanzio's high end gave him resistance to wound infection. Still, he did have to withstand the pain of digging out the bullets inside him. Will I ever get out of this forest? As if in answer to his prayers, a wanderer's encampment soon appeared in Hanzio's sights. Suddenly, Hanzio's expression changed and he jumped backwards abruptly. In the same instant that he had reacted, a huge net sprung up from beneath the sand. It was embedded with shards of metal. The bastard dodged. A long-haired young man carrying a shotgun walked out from behind a tree. His clothes were ragged and patched with animal skin. Stand still, he shouted. The young man was most likely one of the residents from the encampment, and Hanzio, not wishing to create unnecessary trouble, held his hands up above his head. Hanzio's bulging backpack caught the young man's eye. What's in the bag? Take everything out. Hanzio sighed. No wonder the trap was so big, it was precisely meant to catch people. Morals are always blurred in times of trouble. Most wanderers were surviving citizens of the old countries who opted not to join the Six Nations. As life in the wild was harsh, killing and stealing might have been frowned upon, but they were inevitable occurrences. Are you deaf? I said, take everything out. The only contents in his backpack were guns, ammo, and equipment that belonged to the Germinal organization. How was he going to explain that? Suddenly, Hanzio threw an elbow into the chest of the unsuspecting young man, sending him flying back in shock. Hanzio grabbed the shotgun from him out of midair. The young man landed heavily on the ground, and he clutched his chest in terror as he scrambled to crawl away. Hanzio cut out some rope from the trap and tied the whimpering young man to a tree. When he examined the shotgun, he realized that its barrel was outright crooked and shook his head. At the very least, it implied that the young man had never killed before and that he had only been acting. Nonetheless, the young man was so terrified that when he saw it in Hanzio's hand, he panicked even more. Big brother, please spare me. Hanzio slapped him squarely on the face, reprimanding, so, you know that you were wrong. I was wrong, blurted the young man shamelessly. Why? The young man thought for a moment before carefully answering, I should have brought one more gun. Hanzio burst into laughter. You're a funny one, eh? Please show me mercy, Mr. Saint. Just let me go as if you're passing wind, sobbed the young man with dripping tears. Get lost. I've never passed such a big wind before. Hanzio raised the shotgun and struck the young man across his face to knock him out cold. At the end of the day, the young man was most likely a resident of the encampment, and Hanzio still needed to obtain food and water from them. Count yourself lucky. Half an hour later, Hanzio finally reached the encampment. His appearance seemed to unsettle the wanderers. Life in the wild was full of perils, and wanderers were often unwelcoming to outsiders. Their way of life was similar to that of the gypsies, and they were frequently on the go. There were pickup trucks lined up outside the tent. Most of them were rusty and some didn't even have exteriors. Hanzio noticed that there were only a few dozen tents, making this community a relatively small one. Nevertheless, it was a miniature society in its own, and Hanzio located the camp's merchant, a bearded Westerner who conducted his business by his pickup truck. Barter trading only. Well, that's just fine, thought Hanzio, since I don't have a single penny. I want a map, 3 buckets of water, and 5 kilos of food. Bread or dried meat will do, said Hanzio as he retrieved a handful of bullets from his bag and put them on the truck. I'll pay with this. Gunpowder. The bearded merchant's eyes flashed with greed. Gunpowder was extremely valuable among wanderers as hunting was a key source of food. 150 bullets, stated the bearded merchant. Hanzio's face darkened. Daylight robbery. The items he had asked for were basic necessities. There was no way that they could be worth so much. Hanzio's bronze bullets were high-quality bullets that could easily go for $10 apiece, yet the merchant was asking for 150 of them, equivalent to $1,500. Up to you, added the merchant nonchalantly as he turned his attention to his fingernails. Kai Luo, you're taking advantage of outsiders again. A well-built man clad in hunter's clothes patched with animal skins appeared behind the crowd. As he strode forward to the center of the crowd, everyone shifted to make way for him. The man seemed to command respect. The big bearded merchant groaned. Hook-Shuin-jun, I just painstakingly closed the deal. Don't come and interfere. Hook-Shuin-jun grabbed the bullets on the truck up and pushed them back into Han Zio. The stuff you won isn't actually worth much. Treat it as a gift. Here, take these back. Han Zio was stunned by the man's chivalry and stared at him in disbelief. The man was an extremely muscular Mongolian with white hair on the sides of his head, and his eyes were as sharp as an eagle. He looked very much the part of a righteous man, and Han Zio instantly warmed up to him. Hey, what about me? Interrupted Kai Luo. Isn't it just some food? I'll give you more tomorrow, replied Hook-Shuin-jun casually. Kai Luo was frustrated. It wasn't every day that a foreigner came by for him to make a quick buck. He who comes from afar is a guest. You look too frail to be traveling alone. Why not recuperate over at my house? Han Zio hesitated. He did indeed need a proper place to recuperate. In any case, Hook-Shuin-jun had given him a very good first impression, so he nodded. As Han Zio followed Hook-Shuin-jun, the crowd scattered. Kai Luo fumed, but there was nothing that he could do. He did not dare to offend Hook-Shuin-jun. Hook-Shuin-jun led Han Zio to his tent. As he entered the tent, he shouted, we have a guest today. Cook more. Okay, replied a woman's voice. Han Zio followed behind Hook-Shuin-jun into the tent, and was a woman who looked rather ordinary and wore a simple waist skirt. Han Zio noticed that she was blind. This is my wife, introduced Hook-Shuin-jun with a smile. Nice to meet you, greeted her as she faced the entrance. She then turned back to pick up crockery, dried meat, and wild vegetables and arranged them inside a simple clay oven in the center of the tent. Han Zio noticed an old blister on Hook-Shuin-jun's palm. You used to be a soldier? He asked. Yes, for over 10 years. I thought that remnants like yourself would choose to join the Germinal organization. Hook-Shuin-jun shook his head. My home country was peacefully annexed by Stardragon. Soldiers like me didn't have any say. We simply follow the decision that our leaders made. I do detest the Six Nations, but the Germinal organization is no better. They popped out of nowhere to take advantage of our hatred for the Six Nations. I'm a simple man. All I want is to escape war. War is cruel. My eyes were blinded by a flash grenade. My husband and I fled tirelessly before settling here. Even though life as a wanderer is not easy, it is better than war, and chimed in. As she finished speaking, the smell of meat filled up the tent, causing Han Zio's mouth to water. How do you cook without being able to see? He asked, and puffed her cheeks. Don't look down on me. I might be blind, but I can still smell, hear, and feel. It's not like I don't have any limbs. Hook-Shuin-jun smiled. She has a strong character. Won't even let me take care of her. I don't want to be your baggage, responded in meekly, prompting Hook-Shuin-jun to scratch his head in embarrassment. He hurriedly changed the subject. Oh right, I'll let you take a look at my baby. Hook-Shuin-jun opened a storage box beside him to retrieve an old-fashioned gun. Let's see if you know your guns, he said proudly. It is a fine gun, praised Han Zio. Even though it has been used for so long, you still keep it well polished. The barrel is perfect. Truly a well-made gun. This gun is my partner. He's been with me for close to 10 years, laughed Hook-Shuin-jun. It only looks new because I frequently oil it. The truth is that its workings have aged. It can't be used anymore. Han Zio woke up the next morning fully recovered. Brother Han, you're awake, greeted Hook-Shuin-jun, who was doing his morning exercises outside the tent. Although Han Zio was somewhat unwilling to bid farewell to the kind-hearted couple, he knew that he had to leave. I am indebted to you. Unfortunately, I need to leave now. I will repay you in the future. I've made some pancakes. You can eat them while traveling, said as she handed a small package over to Han Zio. The warmth from the pancakes flowed into Han Zio's hands, resonating with his heart. I slept well last night. Thank you for everything. Ha. Don't mention it. Just helping a brother in need, replied Hook-Shuin-jun sincerely. Bastards finally gone, rejoiced Hu Fei. He didn't realize that I stole 2 guns. He slipped to the back of the tent where he had hidden the other handgun in a box. Even if he comes back, I just have to deny that I have it. In the afternoon, Han Zio found a spot to eat and replenish his stamina. As he unpacked his guns to return them to his backpack, he suddenly discovered that something was amiss. There seems to be a missing gun. Han Zio recounted to confirm his suspicions. He immediately dispelled any thoughts of lunch and hastily packed up to retrieve it. One and his men arrived at the encampment right after Han Zio had left. They rounded up the wanderers and were holding them at gunpoint. Has anyone seen this man? No. One projected a holographic face in midair using a device on his wrist. It was none other than Han Zio. No, never seen him before. Everyone denied seeing him. They knew that the Germinal organization would not dare to do anything to them. Wanderers were a neutral faction, and both the Six Nations and the Germinal organization were always trying to win their support. Only one wanderer was trembling uncontrollably for some reason. No, one was in a foul mood, having been in pursuit of Han Zio for 7 days before arriving at this encampment. If the people here had not seen Han Zio, it meant that he had gone in the completely wrong direction. Withdraw, ordered number 1. However, just as he was about to board the car, he noticed the shaking Hu Fei. Bring that kid here. One squinted at him and asked, do you know this person? No, I don't. Hu Fei shook his head repeatedly. Number 1 noticed an out-of-place outline in his clothes and ordered, search his body. Hu Fei was pressed to the ground and watched in horror as the 73 Wasp was taken from him. This is one of our guns. He held the gun up to the crowd and shouted, Zero has obviously been here. How dare you all try and lie? Do you want to die? Speak. Where has he gone? The terrified wanderers began to turn their eyes to the person who had first spoken to Han Zio, Kai Luo. Kai Luo was squatting in the corner like an ostrich. What are you guys looking at me for? All I did was sell him some stuff. Ask Huxuan Jun. He definitely knows. Huxuan Jun stood up slowly in the crowd. I don't know, he declared. Kai Luo, wanting to cast away the suspicion on him, retorted, how can you not know? You let him spend the night at your house. No. 1 second face darkened. The other wanderers began to urge Huxuan Jun to say the truth. Hurry up and say what you know. Do you want us to die because of some outsider? Huxuan Jun cursed Kai Luo under his breath before taking a deep breath to compose himself. That person went in that direction, he said, pointing to the opposite of where Han Zio had headed. Bang! A hole appeared in Huxuan Jun's forehead. He fell back and landed on the ground with a loud thud. Dusk had fallen. Han Zio was finally reaching the encampment. Suddenly, the smell of blood filled his nose, causing his heart to sink. I'm too late. Han Zio entered the encampment to a gruesome sight. It was the aftermath of a bloodbath. He spotted Huxuan Jun and his lifeless bodies, causing him to shake with rage. Suddenly, a figure got up from the ground. It was the big bearded merchant who had attempted to scam Han Zio. Kai Luo had fainted at the start of the massacre, and it ended up saving his life. Before he could rejoice, however, he noticed that there was someone looking at him. When he saw that it was Han Zio, he began to tremble in fear. Han Zio walked over to him and grabbed his collar. Tell me what happened here. It was the Germinal organization. The Germinal organization. They killed us because we wouldn't tell them where you went. They massacred us. You must take revenge for us, for Huxuan Jun. Han Zio suddenly heard another person making feeble noises. He followed the sound and found Hu Fei, who was riddled with 5 or 6 bullet holes. He was on the brink of death. When he saw the handgun clutched in Hu Fei's hand, Han Zio understood exactly what had transpired. Mixed emotions filled him. I told you the gun was dangerous, but you didn't listen. Hu Fei clutched onto Han Zio's pants with a shaking hand. The sight of him crying was heartbreaking. I shouldn't have been so greedy. I regret it so much. I was wrong. I was wrong. Hu Fei weakly lifted a finger to point at Kai Luo. Don't believe him. He betrayed my uncle. Hu Fei spurted out a big mouthful of blood. I will help you end your misery, said Han Zio, shaking his head. Crack, don't listen to H. Before Kai Luo could finish his sentence, Han Zio fired a shot. A hole appeared in his head. Kai Luo's body collapsed to its knees. Everyone is dead. You should join them, too. Han Zio closed his eyes tightly. Although Han Zio's killing intent was skyrocketing, it was being restrained by his logic, much like a caged tiger. The cooler he appeared, the hotter he would erupt. Han Zio walked over to Huxuan Jun's body. His finger was still outstretched, pointing towards some car trails, the exact opposite of where he had headed to. Huxuan Jun had not sold him out. Han Zio's heart ached. Even until the end, Huxuan Jun had looked out for him, an outsider. You have activated a Class E quest. Quest hint, eliminate the test subject squad. Quest reward, 15,000 experience. Han Zio left the couple's side and walked into the tent to retrieve Huxuan Jun's prized bayonet musket. For a second, it seemed to glow and call out to Han Zio. You want to avenge your partner, right? Han Zio took all the guns in his bag and laid them beside the bayonet musket. He began to dismantle them and use their parts to remodel the bayonet musket. Han Zio's basic assembly and basic enhancement were both LV-10. Although the names of these two abilities were very simple, they were indispensable abilities of a mechanic. Bayonet rifle. Grade, average. Base stats. Damage, 66-69. Fire rate 1.1 divided by S. Magazine capacity 10. Effective range 450. Power output 37. Bonus stats +2 dexterity. Length 0.86 meters. Weight 8.3 kilograms. Additional effect accurate. Wind effects reduced. Additional effect piercing modified to use large caliber ammo for higher penetration. Description: it hungers for vengeance. Although if Han Zio fled in the opposite direction, he would be able to shake them off once and for all. An inner voice told him that he would regret it. The quest itself was irrelevant. This was personal. The forest was pitch black at night, making it hard to even see one's fingers. Wolves howled in the distance. Han Zio had been lying in wait for almost 3 hours. Suddenly, the sound of engines approached. Han Zio's face twitched. 4 headlights appeared in the distance. Finally, mumbled Han Zio calmly. He then cocked the rifle and held his breath to aim. After 8 seconds, he pulled the trigger. In an instant, the sniper bullet traveled across hundreds of meters to strike a tire on the front car, causing it to explode. The car crashed into a tree. Do you even know how to drive? Cursed a dazed number 1. Leader, the tire exploded. How can a low-pressure tire explode? One of the squad members knelt down to investigate the tire. There's a bullet lodged in here, he suddenly exclaimed. Ambush. Suddenly, the agent closest to No. 1 was blown up in the head by a sniper bullet. His blood splattered all over No. 1. Go to hell, screamed No. 1 as he stepped on the pedal, not noticing several grenades hanging from mid-air in their path. The vehicle came to a sudden stop as it ran into the rope that Han Zio had tied between 2 trees. The 2 trees were almost uprooted by the force of the crash, and the agents in the vehicle were tossed around like rag dolls. Immediately after, the grenades exploded, setting the night ablaze. The bulletproof windshield was heavily cracked by the shrapnel. It was a simple yet devastating trap. Han Zio tossed the night vision goggles away as soon as the grenades exploded. The fire from the blast gave him all the vision that he needed. He began to fire. The rifle was so powerful that each shot caused Han Zio's entire upper body to shudder in recoil. Bullets whizzed past in Han Zio's surroundings, but Han Zio knew that they did not know his exact location. They were simply panicking. He patiently waited for them to reload. The agents soon realized that they had acted too rashly, but it was too late. Han Zio now had the initiative. Bang, bang, bang. There was a strangely beautiful rhythm to Han Zio's shots. As his comrades began to fall one after another, No. 1 started to tremble. As he wildly fired, he screamed, "Who the hell are you? Show yourself." His confidence had been completely and utterly destroyed. Suddenly, Han Zio walked out into the clearing. No. 1's second eyes widened in shock. Never in his wildest dreams would he have expected Han Zio to counterattack. He had, in his hubris, thought for sure that Han Zio was fleeing for dear life. Despite all the facts proving otherwise, he had stubbornly refused to believe that Han Zio was better than him. Now, it finally dawned upon him. Zero was way stronger than him. His false sense of superiority was instantly replaced by jealousy. "Wanna know why I left you for last? Because I don't want you to enjoy a quick death." Suddenly, the communication device on his severed arm lit up. A holograph of the leader appeared in mid-air. "Zero, that's enough," he said. Han Zio frowned. "I am the leader of the Germinal organization," he introduced. "Do you think you can truly escape from us? No matter where you go, the Germinal organization will find you. However, I can give you a chance to live." "How?" asked Han Zio plainly. "Return to the organization obediently. I will allow you to retain your memories. You will be given a position you deserve," answered the boss. He was truly fascinated by Han Zio's strength. "What makes you think I want to work under you? We are destined to accomplish greater things. Join us. What's there to hesitate?" "Oh, I know. Is it because you are still unhappy with how we treated you before? Don't be so petty, think of the bigger picture. Such things are trivial when compared to our ultimate goal." Han Zio replied coldly, "I have no interest whatsoever in your ideology. You killed my friends, so you are my enemy. That is all. If you refuse to join us, there will not be a place for you in this world." Threatened the boss. "I will destroy you all," Han Zio declared. It was the only solution. The boss burst out in laughter. "Destroy us? What do you think you are? You are just a small, pitiful ant that we can squash whenever we want. Did killing a few lowly grunts make you think that you are invincible now? Childish. Wait and see then. The world is bigger than you can imagine." Han Zio shook his head and raised his gun. He fired 3 shots aimed at No. 1's second heart. The test subject squad no longer existed. The boss's mask could not conceal his fury. "You'll regret this," he coldly warned before ending the transmission. "You have killed the No. 1. The Valkyrie Experiment Test Subject, gaining 900 experience. You have completed, gaining 15,000 experience. Han Zhao had gained a total of 20,000 experience tonight. As the Germinal organization would surely come for him, Han Zhao needed to find a hiding place. He was indeed still too weak to take them head-on. The wealth of information that he carried over from the game was his trump card. In order to make good use of it, Han Zhao needed to seek the aid of a power as mighty as the organization. The 6 nations, Stardragon, Maple, Theseus, Raylan, Hesla, and Ordina. Since he was already in Stardragon, and they were the most peaceful of the 6 nations, there could be no better choice. 0. You have unlocked reputation with the Germinal organization faction. Your reputation with the Germinal organization has dropped by 1,000. Germinal organization, hated. You have triggered the classic quest. Quest synopsis: freedom is priceless, and you have risked your life to earn it. But your troubles are not over yet. The organization has put a bounty on your head. You will be hunted down for the rest of your day. You may have escaped, but your prison has simply grown larger. In order to obtain true freedom, there is only one path. You know what to do. Quest tip: this quest is an achievement quest. You will be rewarded based on the amount of damage and destruction you cause to the organization. Current achievement rate, 0%. You may also choose to finish the quest at any time. If your achievement rate is less than 20%, you will fail the quest. If your achievement rate is higher than 20%, you will be rewarded based on your achievement tier. Han Zhao walked for a while more before seeing railway tracks. He hopped onto a freight train that was on its way to deliver livestock to the western capital. As the wilderness was fraught with danger, and war seemed like it would break out at any moment, most of the public roads connecting Stardragon's cities had been blockaded. Resources were transported mainly by freight. Stardragon's cities were all enclosed in giant electric metal fences. Stardragon, one of the 6 nations. The bad blood between Stardragon and the Germinal organization can be traced back to the Battle of Andria, where the Germinal organization had colluded with other enemies of Stardragon to launch large-scale assaults on its cities during the crucial period of the war. All of Stardragon's cities were barricaded by great electric fences of barbed wire, and the only way to enter any city was through a main gate. Only those confirmed not to possess weaponry or carry infectious diseases were permitted to enter. The 6 nations all welcomed wanderers. The war had caused a lack of manpower and talent. Han Zhao needed to find a way to evade inspection. The Germinal organization had offered a bounty for him, so things could go awry if he were to be recognized. Back in the game, players that were wanted by a country simply had to pay a smuggler NPC a fee to be sneaked in. There was a very inconspicuous man in a corner of the station. He was neither queuing up to enter nor seemed to be waiting for anything in particular. This man was the ringleader of the smuggling business, and normally, he would only serve people who were trusted in their network. Suddenly, he noticed a frail-looking man coming up to him. It was none other than Han Zhao. "Is it safe?" he asked. The ringleader looked up at Han Zhao. It was a face he did not recognize. "Safe?" The ringleader played dumb. "I'll pay with these." Han Zhao tossed his backpack to the ringleader. He opened the bag up to take a look inside. Holy shit, so many guns. Which syndicate is this young master the boss of? As guns were prohibited in the western capital, Han Zhao had to dispose of them one way or the other. "Enough, definitely enough. Where did you learn about my business?" he curiously asked. "That's none of your business." The ringleader took no offense to Han Zhao. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss the next chapter.